everyone, and thank you for listening today. I'm Versha, and this podcast is aimed at helping us all age with dignity. In today's episode, Final Rites with Dignity, we will focus on an important and often delicate topic, planning a Hindu funeral in the Greater Montreal area. At Aging with Dignity, we've created a space where we explore end-of-life planning with compassion, clarity, and cultural sensitivity. Navigating the practical steps after the passing of a loved one is never easy. Logistics of a funeral can be overwhelming, especially during a time of grief. For Hindu families, this process involves not only emotional loss, but also the need to honor spiritual rituals that are central to the transition of the soul. At the same time, planning these ceremonies in a multicultural, diverse, and secular society like Montreal presents unique practical challenges and considerations. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to take a moment to explain a cultural tradition that might be unfamiliar to some of our listeners. In many South Asian communities, including my own, it's customary to refer to elders not by their first names, but with a title of respect, typically uncle or auntie. This isn't just a formality, it's a sign of deep regard, familiarity, and intergenerational connection. I've had the privilege of knowing today's guests since childhood. They've long been pillars in our community, and I've always addressed them as uncle. Out of respect and with great affection, I will continue that tradition today in this conversation. To help us better understand the process of Hindu funeral planning, I'm honored to be joined today by three deeply respected members of the Gujarati Samaj and the Quebec Hindu Mandir funeral committees, Mr. Narottam Patni, Mr. Lalit Vora, and Mr. Ashok Chauhan. Together, they bring decades of experience guiding families through one of life's most sacred transitions. In today's episode, we'll walk through what happens when a loved one of Hindu faith passes away, where to start, what arrangements to be made, and even how to prepare in advance. We'll share practical insights, discuss funeral homes in the Montreal that offer cremation and memorial services, and explore options and alternatives available to families. This conversation isn't just about logistics. It's about honoring beliefs, preserving dignity, and offering meaningful support to families during one of life's most vulnerable moments. Let's begin. Before we dive into the logistics and practical considerations of planning a Hindu funeral in the Greater Montreal area, I want to take a moment to recognize the deep community work that has laid the foundation for this kind of support to even exist. I'm honored to be joined today by Mr. Narottam Patni, a respected elder and one of the founding members of the Gujarati Samaj Funeral Committee, which has been quietly and compassionately serving grieving families for many years, decades, if you will. Uncle, thank you for being here and for everything you've done and continue to do for the community. Can you take us back to the beginning? How and why was the Gujarati Samaj Funeral Committee started? Was there a particular moment or experience that inspired the need for this initiative?
Yes, when we first arrived in Canada, we were all newcomers to the country. Tragically, we felt the sudden loss of one of our friends and found ourselves unprepared for the arranging a funeral. None of us knew how to navigate the process of what steps to take. A few of us came together and visited multiple funeral homes. Requirements including cremation services, and after completing this funeral, which was an extremely difficult experience for our entire community, Mr. Mandavia, who passed away, he is no longer with us, suggested that we should establish a formal committee. His vision was to make it easier for our community to handle such situation in the future of this. How to Gujarati committee was formed.
So Mr. Mandavi basically gave you an idea for it.
Mr. Mandavia, basically because it happened very serious problem with them, an accident, and he has to arrange 3 funerals at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
So he faced a lot of difficulties to do the funeral. That's why he talked to us and said we could form a committee for Gujarati Samaj.
So who were the original key people that were involved, and did they have specific roles that they had to play in the committee when you first formed it?
The founder members include Rajendra Patel, who is since located to Toronto now, Mr. Mandavia, he himself was, and Kumar Bhai Malde, and myself, and Ravji Bhai Patel.
Okay. So what were some of the challenges you faced in establishing that committee to begin with?
Our primary challenges involved gathering information about proper Hindu rituals and obtaining all the necessary items required to conduct traditional Hindu funeral cremation according to our custom and belief.
So was there a connection from the start with the Quebec Hindu Mandir? How did that connection, how did they become a partner to the committee? And
Over the time, we lost several funeral committee members and needed to find replacement. We approached to Mr. Lalit Vora, graciously accepted our invitation, saying, "I would be an honor for my to perform his seva." Initially, only the Gujarati community in Montreal had funeral committee. After the Lalit Bhai joined our committee, we dedicated to expand our services to other community by either educating them about funeral arrangements and or navigating them to collaborate or work with us.
okay. So Samaj under your and the other founding members' leadership was really pioneer in this. Yeah, it's quite impressive. So thank you, Uncle. It's clear that what began as a community effort has grown into something that's really quite essential now. Thank you. Ashok Uncle, Lalit Uncle. Now I'd like us to turn to some of the more practical aspects of planning a Hindu funeral in Montreal, um, and how this committee supports families step by step. Lalit Uncle and Ashok Uncle, you're both increasingly becoming the face of the funeral committee for both the Samaj and the Quebec Hindu Mandir. Can you walk us through the kind of support you typically provide to families immediately upon loss? So someone who has just lost a loved one, they have to go through the first initial steps. What should they be doing?
Well, Sabina, first of all, let me thank you personally and behalf of my two colleagues here, giving us an opportunity to talk about this and educate the people at large. Uh, you know, losing loved one, someone you love, is a very difficult time. So, what we encourage families to contact funeral committee members as early as possible. Ideally, when their loved ones are in a critical condition, so we can start providing them a support.
Okay.
Once the person has left us, passed away, family should call us immediately. You know why? Because when they call us, either we can visit them or we can speak to them on the phone. We can comfort them. That's the first thing. Second, we can give them a guidance. Beside the guidance, what we do in this very difficult moment, we coordinate with the funeral home to arrange for the body to be picked up. Our goal, the funeral committee goal, is to handle the logistics so the family can focus on grieving and being together. This is the most important, critical moment. So we are there for them.
So even Even before somebody passes, if they're in critical condition, they can reach out to the committee and start having the conversation, I guess. That's
Definitely, this is the best time. If they call us, then any one of us or all of us,
right.
we go visit them. And if they prefer, we're going to speak on the phone. We can guide them with our experience last 25 plus years. And put together, it's almost like 70, 80 years experience altogether. We can tell them and try to, comfort them.
So, are there any specific requirements here in Montreal and Quebec in terms of documents or other stuff that families need to gather as part of the first steps for a Hindu funeral in Montreal?
We arrange the meeting with the funeral home counselor, okay? And one of us or two of us, we will accompany the family to the funeral home, okay? And when we go there, the most important thing we request the family, if they have one, bring your passport. The reason bringing the passport is simply we do not want to make any mistake in the government documents, spelling mistake in name. Because if there is a spelling mistake occurs, then believe me, it's very, very difficult. Because what happens, the Quebec government going to issue a death certificate. And when you fill out this government papers, and that name goes on the death certificate, now you have to deal with the banks, you have to deal with the insurance company, and then to get it corrected takes forever. So we suggest to bring the passport. Second thing, always, if you do not have a social insurance card, but remember the number. And most important thing is Quebec health card.
These are required by the funeral home?
These are the requirement exactly by the funeral home because they have to, because see, the process takes about almost hour and a half to fill out all the documents. It's a lengthy process. So yes, you do require all these things. So we suggest them and we prepare the family in advance. Please bring this thing with you.
Is a will necessary?
If you have a will, we suggest please bring the will with you because you have to probate the will in Quebec. Now, funeral home do provide the service at very reasonable price. So if you want to use the service of the funeral home, you should bring the, and they will make a copy. They'll give you the copy back to you, and it's better. But it's not necessary. If you want to do it your own outside, feel free.
So the passport is essential. I know for Dad, for example, everybody knew Dad as Sham. If somebody had filled out the forms, it would have been wrong because it was Chittaranjan was his first name, formal name. So that's a great point. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the funeral homes in the Montreal area? Which ones are familiar or at least supportive of Hindu rituals and ceremonies, including open casket viewings? There might be a need for special pujas and other rituals.
It's when my colleagues, senior colleagues, Mr. Patni, he says it was difficult time when he started. But over the years, after 25 years, we trained many funeral homes.
We started with Alfred Deller.
Yeah, there are several of them. So it's too many, but one particular comes in mind at the moment. If I can mention it, it's a Rideau funeral home.
Yeah.
The reason I mention this is because majority level people do prefer going the Rideau funeral home because it's many reasons, and one of them I would say proximity. Easy to get there, and location is perfect, and parking no problem, and many other good things.
But there are funeral homes around Montreal that are aware of the Hindu traditions and that offer those that offer cremation.
Yes. Like Mr. Patni says, There are at least, we know, we deal with them 6, 7 different funeral home. They all have a crematorium nowadays. And matter of fact, the Rideau has so much, they are busy, they putting a second crematorium oven to meet our needs, so we don't have to wait too long for the get the process done.
So Hindu funeral rites are rich in rituals and symbolism. I know for Dad's passing, not all of these traditions are preserved in Montreal, and we need to align with local regulations. Can you highlight some of the key areas that Hindus in Montreal should be aware of that's different in what they do here in Montreal and what might be done in their original homelands? Because people have preconceptions, right, of that, oh, we did it like this for my grandmother. It's how I want to do it for me, right?
We do the same thing what we did before in the past in India or Africa. We do many things same. Only thing here, because of the Western culture, we had to change. If I remember, and my colleagues who can pick up, there was no washing of the body in old times. Okay, in India or Africa.
There were no facilities called provision when somebody passed away. First thing, just to go take him to the samsan.
So no embalming, no washing of the body, no. Oh,
No. So what happens if someone died, say, in India when I was growing up at, say, midnight? So what they do, they wait till 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, sun start to rise, and they'll take the body directly to the crematorium and put the piles of woods and put a body on top, and just, there was no embalming or anything. No. But because in Western culture here, because rules and regulations and everything, so here, once they pick up the body, they will follow our rituals. We tell them how we want to wash the body. So they will embalm the body, they wash the body, they will prepare the body and put the clothes as we provide them.
so I can share also for Dad. The three of us, Asha, Sandeep, and myself, washed Dad, and they allowed us to do that. They said no problem. They had to physically be outside the door, but that was something we felt very strongly about wanting to do. So then that was also done at the Rideau, actually. So it's there, we can flex things, I guess, is what I'm saying. They're very accommodating.
Oh yes, they're very flexible. Just a few months ago, there was someone passed away in the South Shore. They wanted to do the Hindu mission temple called me up and said, Laliji, we need your service, this body. And they wanted to, the priest from that Quebec Hindu mission temple, so we want to wash our own way doing rituals, and they are very flexible.
So after the cremation, what choices do families have with how they can handle the ashes?
Hinduism says we come from the water, we should go back in the water. So our ashes should be disposed in the water, or running water. Unfortunately, in Montreal or Quebec, we haven't been able to secure a special place to dispose the ashes.
Is that only Quebec or across Canada?
People are going to Toronto nowadays because Toronto have a if correct, I could be wrong, 3 or 4 places.
Yeah.
It has to be about 20 mile or 20 kilometer, I believe 20 mile or 20 kilometer, don't quote me, out of the city. They have designated place. So what happening, some of our families from Quebec do take the ashes and travel to Toronto. Many of them travel to UK. Majority prefer to travel to India to dispose the ashes in the running water. And here, if I may, we are working on that topic to trying to get the government to if they can designate some area we can dispose
Okay.
our loved one ashes.
In Montreal,
In
Quebec area. That's wonderful because obviously there's a need and it's recognized by the number of funerals that are Hindu funerals that are taking place. So Uncle, if a family is experiencing financial hardship, or a person passes away that doesn't have any close family in the area, are there ways that the committee can help to support, whether it's with the process or financially if there's constraints?
Yes, actually, you'll be surprised. We encounter all of this in the past. We had a student, we had a refugees, and we had a senior citizen living in the government subsidized senior's house who had no relatives here. All three, we have encountered that. Uh, for a for a refugee, what we did, we contact ROI Indian Embassy consulate, and they were so nice and they were so gracious. They help us. So usually we talk to them to repatriate the body to the person's hometown, and it has been done. There was a funeral home called us funeral committee, one of the funeral home, and I was able to get in touch. They touched with me and say, Lalit, we have a problem. There is a Hindu person died in a senior's home. He has no body. We want to do proper ritual for them. Funny thing, they asked me, how much do you charge? And I said, we don't charge anything. We do just a volunteer service. He said, can you perform this? And I said, yes. So Quebec government department employee, I spoke to them, and a funeral home, and what we did, our committee members, 4 5 of got together and we did the proper ritual for them. We found the person, their relatives in the UK. We tried to get in touch with them, but they refused to acknowledge. So we did ourselves, and we have no choice but to dispose the ashes and everything.
Okay. Well, this is a great seva. I mean, when people don't have anybody, right?
If I may elaborate one more example here. Few years ago, we got a phone call from Nunavut. Air India flying from New Delhi to New York had made an emergency landing in Nunavut. There was someone had a heart attack. Nunavut has no hospital. So when they called me up and said, we are calling from Nunavut, I said, where'd you get my number? And said, we tried to get in touch one of the funeral home, and they told us this is the Lalit, and they committed us the seva service. So yes, then what we did, we helped them to bring the body here, Montreal, from Nunavut. I personally went to the airport with the way bill. They faxed me. We recuperated the body. We received the body with the help from the funeral home. And the family came. We booked the hotel for them. We kept the family here. And next morning, we went to the funeral home and we did all the proper rituals. We did everything we can. And then family rented the car and they continued the journey to the New York.
There's so many different situations, and I guess no two are the same. Right?
No.
No two services can be the same.
Let me mention one more thing. You asked me about finance. Yes. I'm very grateful to funeral committee, and we are very happy that Quebec Hindu Temple told us anytime you have a problem with the finances to do anybody's funeral, please contact us. Do not worry about the money. Mandir, the temple, will support you. And they have done once in the past.
What advice would you give to someone who might want to plan their own funeral in advance? other religions do this, right? People of other religious denominations do this, where they can pre-select their funeral plot or prepay for their services. Is this even done in Hinduism? Like I've never. It's just got me thinking because I'm talking to so many different people.
Lalita has done that. Yes.
Hey, you're right. Mr. Patni and Asok are laughing at me. They're looking. Yes.
Was
You
it a
know what?
ridiculous question?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay. Because you're laughing. So
I'm the one. Few years ago, it came to my mind. I'm in my late 70s. My both children are out of town. One of them out of country, other one. So I thought if something happens to me, I don't want to be burdened to my children. So initially, I called a meeting with my children. And I told them I want to have a prepaid funeral. And initially they got upset. As usual, why are you talking about? I said, listen, one day everybody has to leave this planet. So yes, I have done prepaid for me, my wife. It's a very good idea. By doing this, you taking a lot of stress away from your children. You have to understand your children has a lot more other stress in their life than worrying about one more thing. So I would suggest everyone, please, if you can, you should do this. The benefit of this thing is once you pay, either you can pay by in lump sum or you pay by installment. Once you pay that, your price is locked now. It doesn't go up anymore. But someone says, suppose if I don't do my funeral there and I'm in Toronto and if I passed away and do the funeral over there, nothing to worry. If you do funeral somewhere else, you pay from your pocket, you will get all your money back.
okay. What you pay to the first
What you pay
prepayment. Okay.
prepayment, you will get your money back. Because all the money is held in a trust. It's not held by the funeral home. You have to understand, they have a trust.
The trust with a funeral parlor, or it can go to any funeral parlor?
All the funeral power has a one trust and all the money held there. So suppose this funeral home charges me 6,000 and I do somewhere else at 7,000, they can use that and pay extra $1,000.
So if, let's say, you've mentioned Rideau. Let's say Rideau is no longer accepting any cremations for whatever reason. So my money's not lost if I've booked it with Rideau. It's part of this trust that I can go to any other one in the area, or my family would go to that area. Is that right?
So Rideau has to refund that money
Okay.
and you pay from your pocket. Oh, yes.
This is great. I mean, not only does it take away, like you said, the stress of those who remain because they need to get on with grieving, it also makes sure that your wishes are honored, right? The way you want things done, at least to a certain extent where the crematorium is involved, you can set what you want done. So that's amazing. That's
When I done about maybe long time ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I was proactive and my own wife was against it. But finally, auntie last year, I said, you know what, honey, you are right. I think let's do mine too.
husband always likes to hear that, right? But you're right.
No, very rarely I hear that in my life. And she said, you're right. And I said, I'm right? Oh my God. Yeah, very careful.
So, Narottam Uncle, as a founding member of the funeral committee, looking back at where it all started, what you shared with us, and where the services are today, what are you most proud of?
In the old days, we have to communicate by phone. There was no email and things like that. So those days it was hard. You call funeral home, and we all are working.
Yeah.
So Rajendra Patel called me that he has a problem during the work hours. They are not allowed to call. So if somebody calls for funeral thing in middle of the working hours, so he told me that you can talk to them. And I was in a company, like I had a free time. I had my own office. I had a prep phone, so I can talk to them anytime. So this kind of problem started in the beginning, but as we going on, and since Lalit Bhai joined, started changing everything. He took over so many things, and he continued doing most of the thing by email and by, because today to get somebody on phone is hard.
That's hard. But I think if I can say, on behalf of the community of Montreal, very, very proud of what you and Samaj have created.
Yeah.
It's very unique. I'm not aware, but I've not researched it, but I don't think there's many other communities that have created that kind of, a funeral committee for their people. And so you should be very proud of what you started and the fact that it's got a legacy some 30 plus years later. So thank you for that.
Initially, like a Gujarati community in Montreal had funeral committee. After the Lalit Bhai joined our committee, we decided to expand our services to other communities by either educating them about funeral arrangement or inviting them to work with us. And Lalit Bhai arranged with Quebec Hindu Mandir. He approached.
Yeah. But also, I educated the South Indian Sri Lankan community to get the contract. They signed the contract. Then I also approached to the Sikh community, the Gurudwara in DDO. I told them, listen, let's get together. You go. This is the contract we signed with the funeral home. This is a great idea. So all other community has followed our steps. Yes.
And what also this did was to help us negotiate a good pricing structure with the funeral homes.
Okay. Having the other communities joining up and and the mandir also gets you beyond just the Gujarati community into a wider scope of Hindu followers. So I think that's wonderful. That's great. So Lalit Uncle, what's the most important message that you'd like to share to the community about the process? How to be prepared for this transition that is going to come at one time or another?
We all love our children very much. We all love everybody. Do them a big favor. Prepare and accept that death is going to come. So, by preparing this, what you are doing, you're giving your loved ones a gift of clarity during their most difficult time. But there are two kind of preparation. One is a physical preparation. Second one is an emotional preparation. For physical preparation, please prepare wills, funeral wishes, how he wants to do the funeral wishes, and collect the important documents. On the emotional side, it's even more important. Means having a meaningful conversation with your loved ones. And remember, even though we love our children, I am sure we don't see eye to eye many things in our life. We all have a little conflict here and there. So please sit down and resolve those conflicts now. The reason, when you leave this planet, you will live very peacefully. There's nothing there. And remember, you don't have to do everything collecting the will and documents at once. Do one thing at a time. Take your time. Don't worry, oh, tomorrow I have to do. No. Prepare one thing at a time. And remember one thing. Death is the one certainty we all share. But how we approach, it can either divide us through avoidance by avoiding the things, or unite us through honest and loving preparation. When we face this reality together, we discover preparing for the death is the best thing you have done because you were at the peace at the end. These are my thoughts.
That's so well said. So well said. I think you hit on a couple of really important points that resolve the conflicts, right? Because we never know when our time is going to come. We know we're going to leave this earth. We just don't know when or how. And being prepared is important. I think the one point that you said was it doesn't all have to be done in one shot, which is fine, but not to avoid it. Yeah. And the emotional side is a very important point that you've just raised. And that's part of the reason that I started this podcast is for people to start having these conversations. There's nothing wrong with it. We know we have to go. So once you have the conversation and the plans are in place, you can park it and get on with living a really good life, right? Because that's all done. When it happens, it's done.
It's done. You have nothing to worry. Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Ashok Uncle, I have one more question for you. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share that's about the future? What kind of support you see from a funeral committee? What you see this committee evolving in the coming years?
Well, sure, that's an excellent question. We already discussed that death is inevitable. We all know that we are going to die. But all of us are very traumatized even to discuss the subject. Lalit Bhai is one of the unique persons, as we heard early on. He has already planned his own funeral. But most people will not do that. Having said that, the need to support the community is clearly there and growing. There are many elderly people who are living alone. Some of their families have moved on. The children have moved on to other cities for better opportunities. And they're left alone by themselves here. So they need a support network. And when one of the spouses passes away, they're left all by themselves. So the community needs to step up and give them whatever support that we possibly can. There are also many persons who are newly arrived to Quebec and Montreal. There are students who are alone here. When something happens to them, they don't have the community support to support them. So we, as the greater community, need to do something about it. We also need to guard against unscrupulous funeral homes. When somebody passes away, the people are at the weakest point. And, as a community, we need to step in and help them through the process so that they're not oversold for the services at the funeral home. You can end up paying $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000, $30,000 for the funeral. A funeral home, after all, is a business. So we need to guard against that. Finally, in these situations, after somebody passes away, the community still needs to support their living in whatever way possibly can. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes they go and visit these people. I think it'll go a long way in the healing process.
That's a great point, actually, that with the committee, you're a buffer between the family that's grieving and, as you said, what can be unscrupulous behavior by funeral homes. And you've had the experience on which to base it, right? You know what the going rates are or the options that are available to families. And someone may choose to spend $40,000, $50,000. That's their choice. But they shouldn't be railroaded in.
So I brought up a beautiful point. Yeah, my own experience, I was phone call to go to Halifax to perform and her son signed a contract, $20,000 at that time. And he says, "Uncle, I signed the contract." I said, "Oh my God." Like Ashok Bhai brought up a very valid point.
So there's, as we said, 30 plus years of experience that our Montreal community has the ability to tap into. So,
and the committee has done a great job in negotiating a good pricing structure, so that we all can benefit from it.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Varsha, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
As we've heard today, planning a Hindu funeral involves more than logistics. It's about preserving culture, honoring traditions, and supporting families through one of life's most profound transitions. On a personal note, I want to express my deepest gratitude to Narottam Uncle, Lalit Uncle, and Ashok Uncle for their wisdom, compassion, guidance, and support they offered our family during the loss of my father last year. In a time of sorrow, they brought clarity, calm, and unwavering sense of community. If you're listening and feeling unsure about how to begin or how to plan ahead for a Hindu funeral, know that you're not alone. There is help, there is guidance, and there's a community ready to support you. If you or your family are navigating a loss or simply want to begin planning ahead, we encourage you to reach out. Contact information for the Quebec Hindu Mandir and the Gujarati Samaj funeral committees can be found in the podcast notes. They are here to support you, not only with arrangements, but with understanding, compassion, and cultural care. If you found today's discussion insightful, please help share this episode with your loved ones. Thank you for listening in and sharing your time with me. Please join me each week for new insights into aging with dignity. Until next time, reminding us all to age gracefully and live vibrantly. Everything you've heard today, just real talk. It's just our personal stories, experiences, and honest opinions. This podcast isn't providing legal, medical, financial, or therapeutic advice. And no, listening doesn't make me or my guests your lawyer, doctor, financial advisor, or therapist. The guests and I are here to share stories, spark ideas, and hopefully give you something to think about. When it comes to the big decisions, make sure you do your homework or check in with the experts who know your situation best. We're here to keep the conversation going. You're the one in the driver's seat.